Hello, it's Daniel and welcome to this trip report. In this trip report, I'm flying with South American airline LATAM from Frankfurt, Maine to Madrid. This trip report is from the flight back to Madrid after flying in a few hours earlier on the exact same plane. On the outbound, I flew in economy class. On the return trip, I'm flying in business class, and I got it for one insane price. For the 2-hour flight back to Madrid, it cost me just £83 or €90, which is a bargain. This is probably one of my best bargains to date, apart from my 1-cent trip to Vienna a couple of years ago. Like economy class, on Fifth Freedom flights, business class is usually pretty cheap. So if you want to experience business, and you're a student, and you're broke like me, then a Fifth Freedom flight is your best bet. Since I was obviously in business class, I had lounge access. LATAM used the Air Canada Maple Leaf Lounge at Frankfurt. The lounge had decent views of everything that was going on at the airport. It also had a good selection of food and drink, plus the seats in the lounge were also comfy. There was also showers and a bar in the lounge too. Like on the outbound, I'm flying back on the same plane, a Boeing 787-9, which is what LATAM uses on this route. Boarding didn't take long because business class passengers have their own queue and are the first ones to board the plane. My seat for the flight was seat 5A, located right at the back of the business class cabin. The flight time back to Madrid was 2 hours and 10 minutes. Whilst business class passengers waited for everyone else to board, the cabin crew came round with a little plate of nuts and a welcome drink. It was either an alcoholic drink or a non-alcoholic drink. I just opted for a glass of water. I spy with my little eye an aviation YouTuber beginning with S. Now it's time for the taxi out and takeoff part of the video, but first here's a word from this video's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Air Models. Air Models is one of the UK's largest online model shops. Air Models has a huge selection of models, including Airbuses, Boeings and military planes. The model selection ranges from the cheaper models all the way up to the premium collection. You can check out their website using the link in the video description. The business class seat had various features, such as storage spaces, a USB charging port, a remote for the IFE system, and a universal charging port. The only thing is though, the charging ports were a little awkward to get into. The seat also had a ton of adjustments. The controller pad with all the buttons was on the armrest. Having all these buttons to play with on the seat felt a little surreal. I kinda felt like some 10-year-old in a furniture shop messing around with that big expensive massaging seat. The seats also recline into fully lie flat beds, which is basically the standard in business class these days. There was also a bright reading light at the back of the seat. The legroom was just unreal. If only all planes had legroom like this, but they don't. The seats table was also stored within the armrest. The armrest also had this nice little wooden bit where you could put your drinks on. The IFE remote was easy enough to get to, however it did look a little dated. There was a lot of random buttons on it, and to be honest, for a 2-hour flight I'm not going to be able to fiddle about with every button on the remote. The seat also had a coat hook, however it was at a weird place, right next to the IFE screen. On the right of the coat hook there was another storage compartment, which is where LATAM store the complimentary headphones. LATAM give all passengers in business class these headphones to use. Surprisingly, the sound quality was actually pretty decent, and the noise cancelling was good too. Headsets like this on planes are always a hit and miss. Additionally, LATAM also gave every passenger in business class a pillow and a blanket. The pillow was extremely soft and comfortable, and the blanket was decent too. On this flight I finished watching Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Around halfway into the flight, the cabin crew commenced the meal service. Every business class passenger were given the same meal. The food they gave out was a cold chicken salad. It included tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, a salad dressing, a warm croissant and a lemon crumble. There was a choice of desserts. It was either a lemon crumble or a chocolate mousse. I opted to go for the lemon crumble. All in all, the food tasted great, was pretty filling, and the lemon crumble was amazing. And one more thing, there was also a little Lindt chocolate, which was a nice touch. For the drink options, it was the same as the welcome drink. This time around I decided to have a Coke Light. It wasn't till after eating I noticed this, but the cutlery LATAM gave with the meal had their logo embedded on it, and I thought it was pretty smart. Given the price of the flight, it was hardly a surprise that the cabin was completely full. The majority of passengers were actually getting off in Madrid and not continuing on to Santiago. For £83, this flight really is a bargain. Considering most business class cabins are configured in a 1-2-1 configuration, instead of this 2-2-2 configuration, the cabin was actually surprisingly pretty roomy. LATAM are in the process of upgrading their business class cabins to a more modern seat, and they plan to have it completed by 2021. Now for a little look at the in-flight entertainment system. The business class IFE system features a 15.6-inch touchscreen. However, this touchscreen is a little far from the seat. That's where the remote I showed earlier comes in handy. The IFE system features the exact same contents as the IFE system in economy. It had a good selection of movies, TV shows, music, games, and it also had an interactive map. It was also pretty easy to use as well, easy enough to navigate, especially if you're not tech savvy. I mentioned it in the outbound trip report, and I've also mentioned it in this one, but this flight is a fifth freedom flight. If you missed the last trip report and aren't sure what a fifth freedom flight is, I will also explain in this trip report what it is. A fifth freedom flight is a flight that starts and finishes but not in the airline's country of origin. It's a little bit to get your head around, especially if you're not an avgeek. The business class toilet was nothing special. It was just the same as every other toilet. It was the same as the economy class toilet. The only difference is it had all these expensive soaps, and I just felt out of place because I really shouldn't be in business class considering I'm a broke student. This flight literally flew in, no pun intended. Before I knew it, we were already holding over Madrid and we'd started our descent. I didn't film this part, however the cabin crew came round with a hot towel for every business class passengers to freshen up before landing. Now for the landing clip into Madrid. Overall, the flight from Frankfurt to Madrid with LATAM was superb, especially because it only cost me £83. The cabin crew were friendly, the service was swift, the food was great, the seats were incredibly comfy, even though I felt a little out of place. The IFE system was good too. I liked the screen as well, and the headphones were decent too, which is unusual on planes. For the price, it's an absolutely no-brainer that I would fly this flight tomorrow if I had the option to. However, as of the 1st of July 2020, LATAM has since ended this route and instead flies direct to Santiago from both Madrid and Frankfurt, which brings an end to this very popular Fifth Freedom flight. What made this particular Fifth Freedom flight so popular was the price. Normal travellers and avgeeks alike use this flight constantly. It's a shame all good things have to come to an end. I'm really glad I got the opportunity to do this flight last year, and at a heartbeat I would honestly do this trip again. For £83 though, this has to be one of the best flight bargains ever. Thanks for watching this trip report. I hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for the next one.